Hey everybody,
Hi, everyone.
Mr. and Mrs. Traveler here.
ElleKosGlam at home.
All right, everybody, happy Monday. And here with us today to help us beat the Monday blues and all this stuck in the house blues stuff, we have a special guest joining us today. As we mentioned to you yesterday, we have on with us traveling Robert. Talking all about the RVing lifestyle and just traveling in general. We're going to have a good conversation. He's a wonderful, great guy. And we'll get into that, your questions, and more when we come back. There's the horn. Hey, happy Monday, everybody, as we're
I'm
waiting
so
for
excited.
a few people to join us here on our live. Coming up here in just a moment, we'll bring our special guest on. He's already sitting back in the green room. We've been chit-chatting for a few before you guys got on already. So we want to welcome everybody to a happy Monday and getting one day closer to getting back to traveling, ladies and gentlemen. And kind of today to talk about, what a better place to vacation than in your own backyard, especially when we're restricted in so many different places.
True.
Obviously, cruises are not going on right now here in the United States. So, you know, traveling in your own backyard is a great option.
That's right. We are so excited to have our special guest today. We really appreciate him stopping his busy schedule. He travels all over the United States plus some. And if you can, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Let him know that you're showing him some love because he stopped his day to come on and share with us some tips for you. And hopefully you enjoyed this interview. And we really appreciate Traveling Robert.
Yeah, absolutely. And some quick hellos here. Hello to Cruise Talk, who is also a fellow RVer. Thomas, Ask Felissa, Carol.
Yes.
What is that one there?
Tired and goodbye. How
Oh,
you
okay.
doing? Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's jump over here and bring on our special guest, Traveling Robert.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Travelers.
Hello.
Let's pop up our little names up here so everybody knows who's
Thank
who. There
you,
we go.
thank you, thank you for
Thank you
having
so
me on your
much.
show here.
Thank you so much for joining us, Traveling Robert. And, we were chit chatting a little bit before the show here. We have been trying to get together for years now. And
Yeah,
literally, either I was coming to Miami and you were leaving, or you were coming this way and I was leaving. We're travelers.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard to
We,
get
we
the
were doing
travelers
it. We
together.
were doing it wrong. We wanted to meet in person, actually in person, and it took a pandemic for us to like Zoom each other, and now we're meeting virtually.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining us today. Glad we could do this, and we will, once all this is done, definitely have to make a point to either see each other when we're in each other's hometowns.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. So, anyway, guys, just some kind of a brief introduction, and I'll let Traveling Robert kind of tell you about himself. But he has a wonderful channel centered around the RV lifestyle and traveling all over the country. So we've got some great questions here that we've come up with, and some of our subscribers have come up with. So, Rob, why don't you tell us a little about what your channel's about and how you got started and spill the tea.
Yes.
No, but basically, I about almost 6 years ago, we bought an RV and we decided to start traveling with an RV. We were always into the RV lifestyle, and we were dreaming of becoming full timing at some point. But now we're just part timers. I travel 2 or 3 months out of the year, or sometimes more. This year has been different, of course, and I spend the other half of my time here in home base in Miami, and. The idea is to tell stories of the travels, the stories from the road. That was always like kind of my thing, and take you with me on my travels. Like you're my riding shotgun on my truck,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah, absolutely. So what got you interested in the RV? I mean, what was that moment where you said, you know what, I'm gonna go
Oh,
get this?
that that was some years back, and it's kind of a long story. We were, well, it's not a long story, but it's at least 10 years ago. It was half of my wife's family. They moved to Atlanta, so my brother-in-law decided to rent an RV to do that part of the trip, and we just rode in the car. And I, when I saw how they did the trip in that way, I thought, this is a very comfortable, very nice way to travel. So a couple of years later, we decided to rent one, and that was it. We got hooked.
Wow.
And then after our second rental, and this was in 2014, like then the month after, we just decided to buy a travel trailer, something that we could afford, that could fit here in my property in Miami, that I could tow with the SUV that I had at the time, and that was it.
Awesome.
Excellent. And I think that's probably what's going to happen to us because we've looked a few times at renting a camper and going down there. And we've been like toying between getting a boat that we could, obviously spend a weekend on something with a cab, like a cabin
Right.
cruiser, or getting the RV. And I'm really torn. And I'm like, if we rent this camper, I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but there's the thing, and I think everybody, and this is an advice for everybody who's thinking of getting into this lifestyle. You should rent first because it's perhaps not for everybody.
Okay.
There's a saying that goes, RV stands for ruins vacations. So
Oh,
I guess for a certain percentage of people that could be the case. Rent it, and if you fall in love with it like we did, you gotta buy something eventually.
mhm.
Well, I guess it goes either way because you know what boat stands for, right?
I forgot.
Break out another 1,000.
Break another thousand.
Every time it's broken, it's $1,000 to get fixed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
So you've got a
But
few.
I mean, Florida, where we are, Florida is a great spot to have a
It
boat
is.
because we have the coast. I mean, within an hour, you're gonna have some kind of ocean or gulf. So yeah,
Yeah, have some kind of an ocean adventure there.
Absolutely.
You have some of your fans on here. Cheryl Young is on here, who's one of our longtime subscribers, and she
Yes.
loves
Oh,
your
cool.
show.
No,
And
thank you.
As Frank.
Melissa is on here as well. So got a bunch of people on here saying hello to you.
And we're going to get
Hello,
to all
hello.
the super chats. And we're going to wrap those up at the end of the interview. Thank you so much ahead of time.
All right, so so with the RVing lifestyle, what's been your favorite destination that you went to so far? I mean, like, what's your favorite?
Well, there are many, and it's hard to pick one. Of course,
I'm
when,
sure.
when I first bought the RV, I had a 9 to 5, so it was hard. We're in South Florida. It takes a
Yes.
whole day to get out of the state.
Yes.
But eventually, we did get out of the state, and with or without an RV, if one of my favorite is the West. The Western United States. You got the Grand Canyon, you got all the Utah
Yes.
national parks,
Yeah.
and and I mentioned it in one of my recent videos. There's beauty everywhere.
Yeah.
But the West is like another planet. It's like
Mhm.
it's so different, so striking. Again, it's not for everybody, but again, you don't like the desert, drive a little farther into the Rocky Mountains or drive the Sierra Nevada, all those out west. But if you want to ask me one destination, I would say the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
It's one of
Amazing.
those places that once you see it for the first time, it's like it's incredible. And pictures will never do it justice because your mind cannot comprehend the vastness of
Right.
that place, and pictures cannot convey it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had an opportunity to go from Las Vegas one time, and we drove to the South Rim there.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. Just perfectly said. Pictures do not do it justice. I mean, it's just you feel so small and insignificant standing there,
Yeah.
at there, and as I look at your channel and I've seen it over the years and the things that we do. The thing, and I just want to get your input on this. The thing that I love about traveling, and I think I picked this vibe up from you a lot, is that when we get out to these destinations, whether it be a lot of our folks on here like to cruise or fly out to islands and things like that, or we got people that we love to RV. The thing about I love about traveling so much is that for that short period of time, everybody lets go of their prejudices and whatever else is going on in their life, and everybody's got this common goal to have a good time. And I'm sure, you know, I'm sure it's probably that same way. Like when you get to the RV grounds, you've got other RVers there, and everybody just wants to get together, have a good time. You learn about other cultures,
That's
how
right.
other people live. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And I think the RVing community is I mean, we think about it as unique because that's what we're doing, but everybody is just there to relax and everybody helps each other.
Hmm.
And talking about the prejudices and all that,
Yeah.
um, once you, it's I think Mark Twain said it wisely, like travel is like the antidote to prejudice or something like that, because
Uh,
we all have preconceptions of different places, different people, and once you meet, everybody pretty much has the same goals. Everybody
That's
wants to be
right.
happy with everybody, and and it's really quite amazing. Not only in the United States, traveling internationally. I've been to
Hmm.
Finland, I've been to Germany, and
Wow.
everybody's once you get past the language barrier, everybody's almost the same.
Love it.
yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
It
If we could
is.
just bottle it up for the rest of the world, right?
That's why we like to
Mhm.
travel.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask because probably back when I first started watching your channel, your theme song, man, like you need a YouTube award
I mean,
for the best theme song on a
it
channel.
is the best. It's my favorite. It's
Oh,
my
thank you.
favorite.
So
Yeah.
everybody on here, please go check out Trevor Robert on his YouTube channel because you have got to hear the intro. This is actually
Is
his.
that all him?
That's his composed
Oh,
song.
wow.
That's him singing. That's all
You
his
have to get into that. I have to hear
the
about it.
video in the background,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
the song is
Yeah.
infectious. Like it'll get in your head, man.
Yes, it will.
I came up with that tune actually after our second RV rental. We went to the actually we went to the west to
Hmm.
Utah and Colorado and all that. And right after we came back to Miami from that trip, I'm in the bathroom. I'm singing in the bathroom. And I'm like, riding in my RV. Where hold on a minute. I came out of the bathroom, grabbed my phone, and recorded it because otherwise I
Great.
would forget it. And then some weeks
Writing,
later.
writing.
Some weeks
I
later, I
love it.
got on the keyboard and then started
So is that all
composing.
you? All the uh, instruments in there? Is that all you?
It's that's on me. In the first version, then I did a second version a couple of years later, and I invited a friend of mine who plays the trumpet and the
Uh huh.
trombone, and I recorded some of the brass
So
live.
talented.
Yeah, yeah,
Amazing.
because brass is one of those instruments that you can kind of fake it in the piano, but it never sounds quite right. So I
Hmm.
called him. Can you just play a few notes for me? Yeah.
It's so original and catchy. It's like a theme song. Yet it get when you hear it once, you sing it later on. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would walk around singing all the time, but I would like insert words in there, like riding with my puppy dog or something.
I'm just glad. I'm
It's
just glad
great.
people like it. And at some point, I want to add more lyrics to it, like add a couple of verses in the middle, just not
Okay.
just.
Maybe a
But,
traveling Robert
but
CD.
Well,
yeah.
he's he,
Well,
he
I
he's
had
got
I have
one.
a CD. I have a CD that
Oh,
I with all the music that I have on the videos.
we definitely have to get that.
Yep. Yeah.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So have you been playing instruments all your life, or
Well, I started. I took piano lessons when I was like 7 and 8, and then a couple of years later, I took some guitar lessons as well. But it wasn't until I arrived in the United States in my what was that in '88 and around 1990 I started playing professionally with salsa bands. That was what was like the thing to do. So I did that for like 10 years, and then I started, we reduced the number of musicians in the band, and we started doing like a trio and doing nightclubs and weddings,
So you already was
restaurants.
talented.
And I did that until I bought the RV, and then I realized it was incompatible. If I had to play every single weekend, when would I hitch up and and go somewhere for on vacation? So uh,
That's cool.
yeah,
yeah? Oh, absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate. I love the originality, and it's really great.
That is
You ever take
amazing.
any other family with you? I know it's you and your wife go a lot. You ever take
Hmm.
any other family
yeah.
with you?
Well, I've traveled with my mom
Okay.
once or twice.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We
That's
we did a
great.
trip to visit because we have family in Louisville, Kentucky. So
Do you ever
decided to.
see one day? Do you ever see a whole trail of people just following you where you go?
We could do a caravan at some point. Yeah, but I've been thinking about it. Maybe do like an Alaska trip at some point
Oh,
or
that'd
something
be
like
so
that. Yeah,
cool.
Oh, that would be awesome. I love
You
Alaska.
definitely have to pick that.
yeah.
So I guess that kind of leads me to that. So what's
Okay.
your bucket list destination? Where does traveling Robert
Uh,
want to go? He hasn't been.
Have you ever been to Alaska?
I have been to Alaska, but not on an RV. So that's one of the
Okay.
bucket lists. And of course, you can spend a lifetime in the United States traveling and not see everything. But
Right.
one of my bucket lists, like for next year or whenever we are allowed to travel, is Australia.
That's
I want to spend. I want
Mr.
to spend a few
Travelers.
weeks in Australia,
That's my
and
number one place I want to
Mr.
go.
Traveler has to
yeah,
go there.
yeah,
I have to climb the bridge. I have to climb
yeah, yeah. I just learn how to drive on the other side of the road, and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
it. There you go. It's actually not. You went to, but you've been overseas, so you've driven on the other side, right? Yeah, you've driven on the other side of the road.
No, I haven't. I
No,
went to the UK. That's the only place that I've been to that they drive on on the Bahamas as well. But I never driven
driven.
in
Yeah,
either. Or did
yeah.
we
We
just
rented a
freeze the?
car. We rented a
St.
car in
Thomas, St. Martin,
St.
St.
Thomas.
Thomas.
So
Mhm.
I just had to I had to keep every time I got to an intersection, I had to keep telling myself, stay left, stay left, stay left,
They
stay
left.
left.
Yeah, yeah. And
Oh, beautiful,
and
beautiful. Yeah,
my other fear is driving stick with my left hand. That's my other big fear because in all of these places, all the cars are stick,
Oh, I've
right?
never been able
I
to
So
never
drive
thought
stick.
about that.
yeah,
That
I
could be a
can drive stick
problem.
with my right hand, but with
That
the
could be a
coordination
challenge.
there could be a problem. I don't know.
So, obviously, most of our folks on here were a lot of cruisers on here, and but they love the traveling period. So, have you ever been on a cruise?
I've been on a cruise. I've been several times. In fact, I used to work.
Wow.
I used to work at the port of Miami. That was one of my first
Oh,
jobs, like
Ah,
really?
okay.
in the early '90s. I worked. They had some duty free shops, and I used to work there. And I even DJ'd at one of the cruise ships.
Really?
So
DJ.
yeah, I DJ'd. It was called the Dolphin. It was a small ship, the Dolphin cruise. Yeah, I don't think it's cruising anymore. And
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting fact.
Yeah, and during that time particularly, I took two or three. I went to usually the Carnival cruises. I went on the back then it was the Fantasy and the Ecstasy and all happy names like that. Carnival
Oh,
always
wow.
Yeah,
names
yeah,
the
yeah.
cruise.
That's
So
great.
We got comments on here. Need to do a group cruise with Robert.
Dale Brent.
yeah, that
Yeah,
would be
well,
cool at some point.
yeah, we'll have to invite you on.
That'll be so
we
much
do them
fun.
we do them all the time. Well, once we get back to that. So, how has obviously the COVID situation has put everything on the brakes for the stuff that we're normally involved with. How has it affected the RV community as far as
But
traveling?
as far as traveling, I think an RV is probably one of the best places to social distance you can find because you travel with your own home, your own bathroom, everything, So you don't really need to interact with anybody or anything unless you go to buy groceries or what have you. So last summer, I traveled for 3.5 months, and
It hasn't
I
been a
went all
big of
over.
such a big problem for you because you're
It
already.
hasn't been such a big problem for RVers. I mean, we don't really have too many travel restrictions. I did avoid places like the Northeast or California,
Yes, busy.
with busy, and
Hmm.
I avoided big cities for the most part. So I went to North Dakota. I went to
Hey,
Montana.
that's deal.
And it's sometimes I was the only person. I was doing a hiking trail, and I'm the only person there.
Wow, amazing.
So
How
it
much
hasn't
freedom is
affected us
that?
as much. The only time where it really affected the full time RVers was when they did the lockdowns, like back in April,
Yeah.
May,
Yes.
because RV parks are considered the hospitality industry, so they closed all the RV parks, and
Uh,
some people who lived in the RV full time they got kicked out and they had nowhere to go.
My
oh wow,
gosh.
So yeah,
wow.
it was. And they even closed like the BLM, the BLM lands, the Bureau of Land Management lands in the desert. A lot of people stay there for free, so
Yeah.
they
Wow.
shut everybody down.
Oh,
But
that's
after
terrible.
after that initial lockdown ended, it's been almost normal.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's the probably the draw of having an RV and or a boat. You kind of had that freedom to, you know,
Yeah,
What lockdown?
Mhm.
You
Right.
know.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
you go to a hotel or like the cruise ships that they have been almost a year right now. It's going to be a
Yeah.
year that they're not cruising. But even in a hotel, like, you don't know exactly how well they sanitize that room before the
Exactly.
last
Yeah.
person. So
How
you have everything with you.
kind of off topic a little bit, but it does bother me with the COVID and all the shutdowns and everything down there. And I talk about it a lot of times on the channel, how this has affected people's lives, and obviously Miami being such a huge port city. How's the climate down there with the folks, the port workers and hospitality and that?
And mom and
Uh,
pop places.
I don't know. I haven't really, I'm not. I don't have any relations at the port anymore or anything like that. But yeah, it's a lot of, especially restaurants and stuff like that. A lot of places are not coming back. They shut down and they're not coming back, and that's going to be an economic, you know, consequence of all this eventually. And I
Uh,
can't wait for like things to go back to normal at some point.
Do you travel 24 hours on RV, or do you actually live and then travel?
No,
Like, do
I
you
have a
live
home in Miami.
100% of the time?
I travel part time. I
Okay.
travel part time. That's one of the things that I had to change in my, because usually when I go to a town or a city, I look for the local brewery, the local
Yes.
restaurants, the
Hmm.
local food. And this time around,
It's
I try
hard.
to stick to myself more
Challenge.
than that. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
That's the
no.
challenge.
gotcha.
And you
Um,
same. We here in Miami, usually every Saturday, every Friday, we had our
Okay.
local bar or our local restaurant. We went out, and we don't do that as much anymore,
That's good.
just just because.
um,
Hanging in there.
Cruise Talk, who's one of our good buddies on here,
Hmm.
he's new to the camping world. He just bought a travel
Oh,
trailer.
yes.
Yes.
Oh, I see
Um,
it here. I
yeah,
see a new
he
RV
wants to know
this
what's
year.
your favorite place to stay in Florida.
I do believe he's one of your fans.
Well, favorite place to stay in Florida. It's I would say the Florida Keys, probably.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
knew it.
I mean,
we was thinking the same
it's
thing.
sometimes it's hard to find reservations, especially in the high season, and it's expensive. But it's a different world out there, and
I think it's
it's
worth
I'm
it.
very familiar with it. But because living in Miami, that's kind of like my backyard. It's far away from everybody else, but even when I was younger, we used to go back down there for the weekend
Mhm.
to party, and now I just go to the RV parks and.
That's what I
Uh,
love about your channel. You get very detailed and tell everybody, what's affordable, what's kind of expensive,
Mhm.
what's kind of off to you. I love
Yeah,
how real you are on your channel.
yeah,
Please don't ever change that, because
yeah,
that's got us hooked on your channel as well. It's hard to find YouTubers that just keep it real, and you are
mm,
definitely one of those YouTubers who you could just turn off the regular TV and watch you all day. So
no,
he's
thank
a
you.
you have a binge watching channel, and I really
Yeah,
really love it. We need more
yeah.
channels like yours.
Yeah, no, I do try to keep it real, and
Yes.
for people to realize that it's not always perfect. Sometimes things happen, and sometimes I don't like
Hmm.
places, and if I don't like the place, I tell I don't think this. I think this is overrated. What have you? So
Yes.
yeah, some people say I'm negative because I do that,
Oh
but
no.
it's
Yeah,
I don't think so. I
just
think
the
I
way.
think you're just keeping it honest and keeping it real.
yeah, we do this. We do the
Hmm.
same thing. I mean, if you know, we have a travel business and we actually sell travel for our business.
Mm.
Um, but we'll tell somebody in a minute, hey, the food on this ship,
Yeah,
yeah,
We'll have
it
to
was
tell them.
it was a good deal, but the food,
Yes.
you know,
yeah,
you just gotta be honest with people. I
And a
mean,
lot of
and
people
people
respect
appreciate
you
that.
for that honest opinion too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So Robert, for people that are families that are considering getting into RV lifestyle, I know you touched on one point already, which was try to rent first.
Yes.
Uh, but what are the other recommendations for people? Because I mean, there's so many different. You got the travel trailers, the Class A, B, C's, and I mean, so like, what's some recommendations for people if they're looking to, get into the RV lifestyle?
And do you have a video for beginners?
I did one at one of the RV shows many years ago, but I don't really have. Maybe I should do something like that.
Yes.
Um, but the thing with choosing the RV, that there's so many options. It's such a daunting task that you kind of have to narrow it down. I would
Hmm.
first go
Hmm.
with your budget. If and then with your traveling style. I would get a if you want to go move from place to place quickly. I would get a motorized like a Class C or a Class A.
Hmm.
And if you're thinking of staying put at the same place longer, I would get a trailer. That's pretty much the rule of thumb,
Mm-hmm.
because a trailer takes a lot longer to set up and pick up everything and set up camp. Uh, and I would love to get a small like what they call a B plus, which is a wide body camper van, so you can just spend one night and then continue and continue and continue. Because that's how I usually travel. If I a lot of people like to stay a month at the same place. I mean, after the fourth day, I'm like, I have to move. I have to get out of here.
Yeah.
Right? So it kind of depends on and also the budget. You can get in an expensive travel trailer for $15,000, so you can spend $500,000 on a diesel pusher. So yeah, it all depends.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we went to the
RV
camper
show?
show
Mm,
RV show in Tampa
we did.
um,
Hmm.
last year, and
Yeah,
what was that one that we really liked?
We
It
liked
was
the Vista.
no, it was
Winnebago Vista.
no
Yes, it was the Vista.
Vega,
That
Vega?
the Vega.
Vega.
the Thor Vega, the Thor Vega.
Yeah, the
That's
Thor
a
Vega.
Thor
that's a
Vega,
that's
that
a
was it.
gas Class A. Yeah,
It was nice and
yeah,
small.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The
that's the
Thor is
one we're
like
looking
high
at.
20s or 30 feet. Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, it was nice. It seemed nice for two people and a little dog, and can kind of get around. But I guess then the setback to that is if you go to someplace like Key West. Now, how are you going to get
How
into
would you
town?
fit?
No, you would have to either
Tow behind.
Hmm.
tow behind or have an e-bike or like we did the last time we went to Key West. We didn't want to drive and we just Ubered.
Oh, there you
Basically,
go.
Good idea.
if you stay at Boyd's, Boyd's campground is probably the closest public campground to Key West. It's 5 miles from the Wall Street. I mean, it's right
Hmm.
there.
Yeah,
It's in
yeah,
the
yeah. And then
it's
once
in
you're
the
there in Key
previous
West,
field.
it's all walkable.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Once you get to Key West, and then there's also public transportation, but that just takes
Yeah,
longer.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, very good. And then
All right.
trying to see if anybody has any questions for Traveling
I
Robert
see that
before we wrap
you
everything up.
definitely have some
Yeah,
fans
so
on
someone was
Raleigh.
asking something about the RTR and what's the RTR
Okay,
Oh
and
I
yeah,
don't.
that's
You
that's
have to
yeah,
break down the
C Mist. That's C
abbreviations.
Mist 4. That's Cheryl,
See Miss Four.
and she
yeah,
and she loves you.
Hi, Cheryl.
Yep,
yeah. I
Cheryl.
saw that question
Raleigh
earlier, and the
Creative
RTR is
Travel.
that's the Robert Trump rendezvous, and that used to be. I think this year's canceled because of COVID. They didn't
Oh.
give it it became too big. It started like a gathering of RVers and van dwellers. Probably about 10 years ago, and it was like 20 of them, and then it grew. The last time we were there were thousands. So
Wow.
they have to call the Bureau of Land Management to ask for special permissions and this and that. And I was at the one 2 years ago, which was
Hmm.
like the last of the real RTRs. And but I'm going there. I'm going to where the RTR took place in about a month. I'm going to be there in
That'd be
Quartzsite,
great.
Arizona.
We will be
And
watching.
where is that?
Quartzsite, Arizona is
Oh,
west of Phoenix. It's I would say about 10 miles from the California state line on I-10.
okay.
And it's this small town that has I don't know a few thousand people during the summer, but in the wintertime it's hundreds of thousands of RVers that converge there because it's all
Interesting.
public land around the town. So
Okay.
so you can camp for free for 14 days on that public land, and
Oh,
there's also a long-term area that you pay. I don't know. It's like I don't quote me on that, but it's like $30 and you can stay for 3 months.
That's not bad
Yeah.
at all. Very affordable.
nice,
Of course,
nice.
you
Yes, it
are in the
is.
middle of the desert. You are self-contained. You have to have solar panels and you have enough water and all that. And then going to town once in a while to dump your tanks and fill up with
Hmm.
water and that. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Have you been? I think I saw before. Haven't you? Have you been all the way up to Maine and been up to the
I
coast in
was
Maine?
I went to Maine. It was the trip where my tow vehicle died. So it was
Oh no.
That's
it was
right.
a
Okay.
shortened. It was a shortened trip. That was a trip that was going to be 2 months originally, and it ended up being 2 weeks. So I
Oh.
just had to do everything. Like I spent 2 nights in New York, 2 nights in Boston, 2 nights in Maine. But
Oh
yeah,
wow.
that was cool.
Yeah, that's one place
It sounds
I'd like
like
to spend some time up there in Maine. The coastline up there looks so beautiful.
his life is
Yeah.
so awesome. So much freedom. You know, you
Mm,
just get up and just go wherever you want to go. It's just so cool to do that.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
G Dub Walker on here,
Auntie
she's our
Gladys.
adopted auntie on here.
Yes.
Uh, she asked, "Do
Yeah.
you need any kind of special license or driving skills?"
You don't. Driving skills, you do. Special license, you don't. I believe you do get a discount on your insurance if you do have a commercial driver's license.
Hmm.
But you know, and skills, it depends on the vehicle do you have. If you have a long bus style RV, yeah, you need to learn how to turn, how to make the wide turns, and this and that. If you have a travel trailer, you need to learn how to back that into. How to back it up into an
Hmm.
RV site or into a parking space, but I mean, you learn that the first time I rented an RV, I hit one of those, bumper metallic
Oh
things from the gas
no.
station
Yeah.
because I didn't realize I was turning and I thought I
Oh
was in my
no.
SUV. Don't tell Cruise America. But, you learn the more you do it, the better you get at it.
You have another fan. Her name is Sarah Brown. She's from London,
Hi.
UK.
All the
All
way
right,
from
from
London. All
London.
right,
Yep.
excellent. Let's see.
Cool.
We would like to thank Cheryl for her super chat. She sent us a super chat and as well, and then there was one
Oh,
more person
oh,
earlier in the
here's for all the super
broadcast.
chats out there. Oh wait,
Thank you so
hold on,
much.
wait a
Uh
minute.
oh, did we do it?
No,
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 there we
no,
go.
yeah.
Okay, here we
Here we
go.
go.
Hey, listen to that horn.
There's our
That's our
horn.
word.
Smooth Will said, "Traveling Robert, I've always wanted to travel the country in an RV. Is it possible to get a reasonably priced RV that's really nice?" So I guess it's a good question. Is there
It
like
is.
a decent place to buy used RVs, or and kind of like I know with a boat, you should take a surveyor in there and get the boat checked out. Is there something similar with RVs? It's a good
Yes,
question.
it's the RVIA, the RV industry. What it's they have certified inspectors that they will inspect the RV.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not as thorough as a boat because if your boat is bad, it'll sink. That would be really bad.
Oh.
If your RV breaks down, you call AAA or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But in an RV, you need to worry about water damage, from the rain because it's the construction. Most of the time is wood, behind the walls. So
Mm-hmm.
water damage and axle alignment, but make sure that the frame is good. But
That's great.
and of course mechanical if it is a motorized RV like a Class A or a Class C, definitely.
You should think
And
about some type of instructional class
yeah.
for us to
Mhm.
take so we can learn.
There
Because
are
you are
there are
full of
there are
information.
several YouTube channels that do that very very well. So that's why
Okay.
I never got into that. But RV 101, there's a couple there's a couple of
Okay.
them that and as far as how to buy a cheap RV, you can go to RV Trader, and it depends. If you already have a tow vehicle like a capable SUV or truck,
Mm-hmm.
you could get a used travel trailer for $5,000. I mean, it's not gonna be like the
Not bad.
greatest and best, but you can get it in that inexpensively into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then a Class C, you can get it used for 30, 40,000. It depends.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
very nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Well, listen, Robert, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to finally be able to connect with you
I
on
just
here.
felt like I just talked with a movie star. I'm such a
Oh,
fan
thank
of your
you.
channel. I watch it all the time.
Thank you.
With
Appreciate it.
me and
Thank
Mr.
you.
Traveler.
Yeah, absolutely. And, thank you for what you do. I love the channel, love the honest content.
Yes.
Um, your skills
So
on the
helpful.
musical instruments is really
Hmm.
great, man. It's just really great content. So
Absolutely.
I do recommend any of you out there, if you're considering RVing, whatever, take a look. Even if you're not considering an RV, Traveling Robert has some really great videos showing you some different destinations around the country
Yes.
and out of the country. That's really great scenery. He uses drones like we do sometimes.
Mhm.
Get some great aerial shots on there.
Hmm.
Great cinematic work that you do with the videos as well. So just all in all, really great.
And he has some great merchandise too. Did you want to tell us a little bit about your merchandise? Do you have any
Well, I do
merchandise,
I do sell
t-shirts
my
and things?
the CDs with all the music that I
Stickers?
produce for the I do stickers, I do magnets, I have T-shirts through Teespring. If you go to travelingrobert.com/merch, that's where all that is. And of course, all my music is online. If you search for my name, Robert Morales Travel Music, you can listen to it on Spotify or get it on Apple
I'm
Music.
pretty sure all of our subscribers are already subscribed to you, but if you're not,
Yeah.
make sure you run over to his channel and please subscribe and support his channel, because
No, thank
his
you.
channels are few and far between. He is one of probably the last ones who is very, very intelligent, will pour out a plethora of information for camping. So if you want to know about camping, please go over and join Traveling Robert.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Well, thank you, sir, for joining us. And again, once either I'm in your town and you're in my town, let's please meet face to
Absolutely.
face
You
and
My
guys have to
pleasure.
link up.
and have a little
Yeah.
bite to eat or something. And
Absolutely. On us.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do that sometime. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
beautiful. Thank you again, Robert.
Take
Thank you for having me.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right, that's a horn on the way out the door. We want to thank.
Here's our camera. Okay.
There's our camera over there.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate each and every one of you who stopped your Monday to enjoy this very, very knowledgeable interview with Traveling Robert. He is very busy. He has a huge schedule, but he decided to stop his day to come on board with us and share some information that he had. We hope you enjoyed our channel, and make sure you give us a thumbs up if you want to see more content like this. Please go ahead and subscribe if you're not subscribed, and give us a call if you're planning to go on that next bucket list vacation, maybe Australia, maybe Alaska. Give us a call at 877-697-4470, or we could be reached at www.mr-traveler.com.
Maybe we could talk Trevor and Robert into doing the group cruise to Australia. That's one we've been thinking about.
Yes, we have.
That would be interesting, maybe.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We want to do more interviews like this.
Yep. A quick shouts out. Thank you, Opa92, for that super chat.
Thank you.
There you go.
Super chat. Open 92. Hi, guys. Can't wait to meet you.
Let's see. I
Did it
think
say can't wait to meet you?
Yep, I think I saw. Didn't I see one other one in there?
Okay.
I think we got one from Cheryl, if I'm
We
not
did
mistaken.
get one from Cheryl Young. Thank you so much, Cheryl.
Searching through
Almost
here.
Here
There it
we
is.
go.
There we go. Thank you, Cheryl Young, for that super chat.
Thank you so much. We appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you so much for watching today.
All right, everybody. So, and we'll get back to our trivia and the trivia winners tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
We'll get back on that. We just want to
More
dedicate
cruise
this
news.
time to our friend Traveling Robert, and we hope that you guys go over to check his channel out. It's got really great content.
His channel is so awesome. You have to watch it. Trust me, you would not watch regular TV. You would just watch his channel all the time.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching.
Life short.
Have fun.
See the world.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.